Hi, it's been a while since I've uploaded a video. I've actually shot many videos, but then I'm like, I'm not feeling like this is worthy to share. And I don't know if this is worthy to share, but I just wanted to give you an update on my rig. Basically, things have been going pretty slow, but I have removed the slide up door. I framed out the jambs for the new doors, and actually they're not going to be a door. Basically, it's going to be two hatches, one at the bottom that opens up and closes, and one at the top that opens up and closes. The one at the bottom will be underneath my twin size bed, which will go right in the back. I'm going to sleep east and west. I've already laid down, and it's really tight, but with 1-inch insulation on the head and the foot in that area, I should be okay. I'm 6'1", so I couldn't use 2-inch insulation on the head and the foot, because then that would have been just a little too cramped. I could fit, but my feet would be like right up against the edge. So basically, I'm going to have the bed all the way across the back. I was previously I was expecting to have like a sort of, it's kind of like a double drawbridge style bed, and I just wasn't feeling it. I like Dave from Van Life Meow, his layout. I really like that layout with the bed in the back. I like the idea of having the bed always ready to go, because often, even though I don't sit down or lay down all day, it is nice to be able to just rack out for 15 minutes or whatever. And so because the bed's going to go in the back, I needed another point of ingress and egress. So I went ahead and I ordered a China door, and it's going to go over on the side where I was originally planning on building my own door, but I was not qualified for that. I'm not qualified to build the back doors either, but at minimum, I could always redo the back doors with some other style. Once I cut a hole in the side of this vehicle, that's it. Because this is the wood that they use for this box van, the walls. It's marine quality. It looks like marine quality, high density plywood. That stuff is so thick, so dense. It's really great wood, and then it's sheathed in fiberglass. So it's excellent wood. And, it's a shame to cut through it, but I'm going to do it. I've already bought it. Apparently it's been shipped. It's a left hinge door. It's only 5.5 feet high. One of the reasons why I didn't want to make it like 6 feet high is, first of all, 6 feet high is basically the height of the wood on the side of the box. So I would lose the structural rigidity of this marine ply, because I'd be cutting out, I'd be making a U essentially, even though it is bolted together with an aluminum frame on top. I just wasn't feeling it. Of course, I would rather be able to walk out without having to lower my head. But the other issue is, like with Dave with Van Life Meow, he built this beautiful step well, and even has a step-by-step video. I just was not feeling the confidence to do that myself. I used to weld in high school, but to weld now, I just wasn't feeling it. Just didn't feel confident to do it. Wood is a little more forgiving, and so when I get the door from China, I'm gonna lay it out and then use their template and lay out exactly where it's gonna go and put it there. I will have to build or buy stairs for it. I'll have to figure that out. I'm not sure if I can fit folding stairs properly underneath there. Or perhaps I have thought I might just use a ladder, like a ladder that folds down on the side of, like, here's the side of the rig, and the ladder folds down, and when I'm underway, I open up the door and I fold the ladder up and then close it, or just hang it on like a side of a cabinet. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to figure that out. I would rather have steps than a ladder because it's less fruity, less dangerous. A little ladder, I'm more likely to have to feel like I should back out of the door. I may feel like I have to do that anyway because it's 5.5 feet. Anyway, had I built a door in the back, I would have had to have bent down anyway for that as well, because that is essentially, actually, I would have had to have bent down at least as much. It's because that whole frame in the back is less than 6 foot. It's like 5.5 feet. Okay, so there's that. Also, another issue is I cut more of this pass-through out, and basically I cut this out because I determined that on the long haul, I'm going to want to be able to recline a little bit, because otherwise I would have had to, this would be the height, okay, and that's a little too upright. I like to kind of recline a little bit, and reclining a little bit puts the seat behind this bulkhead, so the bulkhead had to go. One problem with that is this steering wheel doesn't have an adjustable steering wheel with tilts and telescoping and all that like some vehicles do. This is just this size, so my arms will be sticking out like this. I'll probably get a steering wheel, or a couple of wheels, put those wheels on there so I could just hold on to the wheels like that. I don't know. I've always thought about getting a steering wheel, a bolt-on steering wheel, so you could Okay, so I'm thinking about, I keep thinking about refrigerators. There's some that are being sold that are 100 quart dual zone. So one side is like 55 quart, the other side's 45 quart. And they can be either freezer or refrigerator, so one or the other or both, which is helpful. I've thought about getting rid of the passenger seat and putting the refrigerator there, like Dave from Van Life Meow. But I really like the idea of keeping the passenger seat and turning that into my easy chair. And then I do plan on having getting an office chair for the desk area, which has not been built yet. So as far as buying stuff, I'm not in a big rush to go out and buy stuff because I've already changed my mind on some things. So I'm a bit hesitant to just spend a big wad of cash. I need to get solar panels, all the charge controllers, all that stuff. I need to put in insulation, 2-inch insulation, except right where my head and feet are going to be, right where the twin bed's going to be. I need to buy a twin bed, a twin mattress, like a 6-inch hybrid spring memory foam mattress. And speaking of insulation, underneath the mattress, underneath the bed area, is going to be the garage area. So it's going to be essentially 30 inches high, and then the the length and the width of a twin size mattress. Basically the whole width of this box, 30 inches high, and the width of a twin mattress, and that will be the garage. I'm going to put a spare tire in there, jack, probably a couple propane tanks, a dual fuel generator, a diesel heater, and other miscellaneous stuff. I'm going to get one of those horse stall mats, because again, Dave from Van Life Meow, he got stuck in Nebraska, and the guy who pulled him out said those horse mats are a way to get unstuck on sand. So I'm gonna get one of those when I drive by a Tractor Supply outfit, and I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the garage, and I'll just keep it there until I need to use it, and then maybe even cut it in half to stick it underneath the wheels. I'm going to have to go and buy a spare tire, because this didn't come with a spare tire. You know, when you rent these rigs from U-Haul, they basically have, you know, roadside assistance themselves, I believe. And so you really don't deal with having to change your own tire. So they come out and help you, apparently, I'm guessing. So I'm going to have to pick up a spare tire, and that's going to go either on this side or this, probably the passenger side, underneath the bed. And my husband has a bunch of floor jacks, so I will employ one of those. I'm going to bring a bunch of spare wood with me, like some 2x6s, 2x4s, because to get unstuck, those are handy apparently. So it's good to watch these videos. I've been thinking about air conditioning, and I really would like to get air conditioning before I hit the road, because it's going to be harder to do after I hit the road. So I'm considering getting a mini split and putting it above the cab up here, so it would kind of resemble a reefer unit. But if I do that, I will not be able to run it while I'm driving, because I would be going against the wind and it would be fighting the fan, because it blows out of that. So in that case, I would have to turn it off when I was driving. But I've also thought about putting a roof rack up in the front and then building a airfoil system, you know, maybe out of plywood, paint it white, and then have that in front of the condenser, and then have like kind of a deflector, so the air comes out of the condenser and kind of deflects out sideways. It probably would want to anyway, as if I'm driving, it would create this suction right there, so it would blow it out. So that would probably be okay. And one nice thing about that would be if the airfoil is going up like this, covering the condenser, it would help for aerodynamic effect, because there's a big flat wall up here, not huge, but it's like a good 16 inches high, and it would also, the airfoil would go up, but I'd also run some of the support to go up against the solar rack that I'm going to put up eventually, and I might even be able to get an extra panel above the condenser that would serve dual purposes by having an extra panel, but it would also shade the condenser, because a shaded condenser works a lot better for the air conditioning mode. They don't sell these in heat pump modes, because I'd rather have one that has a heat pump as well, but they usually don't. The only ones that seem to have a heat pump are the in ceiling units, and this doesn't really have the height for in ceiling air conditioning. Speaking of sealing on the roof, I need to get roof paint. This is June. We're coming up on June gloom here in Southern California. This would be the time to get it. Get some degreaser, get the paint, get degreaser, degrease it, wait for a overcast day and get up there and just paint the ceiling or the roof. And then if I had bifacial solar panels, I might get a little bit of a bump in a little bit of a bump in power, especially with a glaringly white roof, wherever there was a little bit of space between panels, of course, because I plan on covering this thing with panels as much as I possibly can. And in fact, that leads to another thing. The Max Air fan. I'm going to get a Max Air fan or equivalent, and in which case they usually have like a little roof on it. It's like a rain protector. Well, I talked about this with the guys at Box Truck to RV Conversion Facebook group, and lots of these guys put the Max Air fan directly underneath a solar panel. So that would end up doing the rain covering, and it would also, as a bonus, it would end up cooling off the solar panels during the summer. So lots and lots and lots and lots to do, and here it is. It's approaching the 6-month mark. I wanted this project to be done in December, like December 1st, done, so I could get it titled as an RV and hit the road just December 12th or December 2nd or 3rd or something like January, sorry. Hitting the road in the new year and going to the RTR, going to the big tent, lining up some summer work. There's been a lot of fear coming up. I've been thinking, I get overwhelmed. Parts of me say, just stay here, just have your comfortable, small life. But man, it's not that comfortable. It's not that comfortable, not with the living situation here. There's craziness going on here, and to leave this living situation, the way to do it is to do the van life thing, because that I've been dreaming about this since 2010. So 16 years I've been dreaming about this. And actually, I've thought about it a lot longer than that, less seriously. But as the van dwelling, specifically 2010 on, when my mom died, I initially started thinking, I said to myself, I don't want to pay rent. Don't want to pay rent. I mean, if it was like rent, like 1999 rent, like $500 a month rent, because I had my place in Buena Park that was like $525 for a 1-bedroom apartment, utilities included, no air conditioning, but utilities included. That's not insane. I mean, it took up most of my take home, but it wasn't super insane. But now it's just nuts. I do not want to pay rent. So ironically though, this van, it's not going to be cheaper living in this van than how I'm living now, just because of my living situations. But I'm curious about who I'm going to become, like a year from now. What will I become? Will I turn tail and come back? Will I turn tail and not even leave? What's going to happen to me? I'm really curious. Really curious. I don't want to let myself down. All right, well, I've rambled on long enough, so thanks for watching.